Motorhop on Air.
Well, we made it through episode 1, so welcome to episode 2 of Motorhop on Air.
That's already further than your last podcast made it.
It is, in fact, one episode more. I was reading, according to I think it was Buzzsprout that was discussing it, the average podcast only makes it 7 episodes in before people just lose interest and stop recording it. So we'll really know if we make it to episode 8, if this is going to be a thing.
And people say 7 is a lucky number, but actually, when I worked in real estate, 7 was the amount of years on average that people stayed in a house. So I guess that's where our
lucky
attention...
for real estate agents.
Well, it used to be.
Yeah. Well,
apparently that's our attention span.
Yeah,
7.
apparently. But
so I guess we'll celebrate episode 8.
yes. Yeah, we'll see what we do.
We'll make a
for
fancy
episode
drink
8.
or something.
Yeah. 8 is great.
Oh, dear.
No, hold on. And
Thank goodness for that.
yeah.
So I guess we're going to move into an occasional segment here. It's called What's in My Cup?
Yeah. She has this fascination with mocktails.
I just mix anything we have on hand and just hope it turns out good. But we usually have a plethora of sparkling waters, a bunch of different flavors here at the house. And the only vegetables, which aren't even vegetables that I grow, are like herbs. So it's usually mint mixed with something. But tonight I have part of a Gatorade energy drink. I think it's called Fast Twitch, which is not as caffeinated as it sounds.
No, but I have a fun story about that, but continue.
Okay. And I mixed it with, it's a strawberry watermelon diluted with a lime sparkling water. So it is 6:30 here and the night is young. So we are still on our caffeine.
So I, on Instagram, found something that I'm not sure how I didn't think of. I like Red Bull. Someone referred to it as a blue collar mimosa. It is orange juice and Red Bull, and it is fantastic.
Sounds awful.
It is fantastic. The Gatorade Fast Twitch story, though, to tie in last week's discussion of the tire changing, when I came in from doing the first tire and thought I was going to die, I was like, I need electrolytes. So I reached in the fridge and grabbed what I assumed was some kind of fancy Gatorade. And then...
It was, technically.
It was. While my heart rate was already up, and I was 3/4 probably through the bottle, I realized I had just consumed almost 200 milligrams of caffeine that I was not expecting to intake.
That was that early in the morning, though? Or?
Yes, it was.
So you just, flew throughout your day. You were just buzzing.
It was a good day. It was a good day.
And you survived, and I think you took one with you to work, so...
I don't remember if I took it the same day. But yeah, they are pretty good.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
And they're not caffeinated, or they're caffeinated, but they're not carbonated, which is great, because I'm not a huge fan of carbonation all the time.
Yeah, well, everyone's got their preferences. So, we'll cover some news like normal. I want to touch on an episode that, I forget if it dropped yesterday or today.
Which will be like a week ago from the time this launches.
No. The MotoGP from Noco Moto. Well, I guess, I don't know. I don't know how many days it'll be from when this recording drops. But when we were recording this, it was either yesterday or today, he dropped an episode discussing Electrek, which is a electric vehicle news site, and specifically one of their writers, Micah Toll.
It's Electrek.
Yes.
So like Trek. It sounds funny when you say it in a sentence.
So we'll get to what MotoGP has an issue with there, and some things I want to kind of reinforce and agree with.
So a buildable rant.
Yes. Yep. I'm just piling on. We're dogpiling. Yep.
Wonderful.
So up first, Honda has dropped new colors for the Super Cub and the Monkey for 2024 for the U.S. market.
I'm ready. I haven't seen them.
So the Monkey...
I made an effort not to look, so that way I could have like a true first impression when he showed me. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so the Monkey's going to be offered in Pearl Nebula Red and Pearl Black.
Nebula?
Yeah, with their plaid seats, but I thought they already had these colors at some point.
Turn your screen.
And maybe if not here, then it was just in a different market.
Okay, so which one's that? That's white?
No, so this is the black option. It has a gray, black, and looks like white plaid seat.
That's pretty.
And it is a silver and white two-tone tank.
It definitely kind of like makes it look a little more serious, a little less like the average mini bike. You know, it's looking more like, I don't want to say more like a motorcycle, but more like a bigger bike.
I don't know. I mean, I like it. I feel the opposite when we start putting plaid on stuff.
Oh, well, the plaid one doesn't look like that.
Well,
like the plaid
the black
seat.
one had a plaid seat too.
No, go up.
Yes, I promise you. It is
Oh, I
gray
couldn't
and black
see
plaid.
it. It was very less contrasty.
I enjoy the plaid. I'm just saying.
You won't see it while you're on it.
I think it makes it feel a little less serious.
It looks like a Christmas bike because it's red plaid.
Yeah.
Now that's beautiful.
Yes. This is what I thought you would be excited about.
I am excited.
So the Super Cub.
Good thing I didn't buy one this year.
Yes. Good thing. So the Super Cub is going to be coming in. What are they calling this color? Oh, I've got to find it. Basically,
it's a pale steel blue gray.
Yes, it is. Missy's probably most perfect. Yes, they're calling it pearl gray. It could not be more Missy of a color option for the Super Cub for 2024.
I'm all about the muted jewel tones, and which is really kind of ironic. I'm a designer in real life and probably one of the most creative people you will ever meet, but I prefer to wear and dress everything I own in gray.
Yes.
And I like vanilla ice cream. So
yes.
there are some things, you just gotta limit the creativity and save it for the paid gigs.
Yes. Now the reason why the 2024 color on the Super Cub is exciting to me, because I know it'll be exciting to Missy, is while she is progressing through going after her license, she's gotten her motorcycle temps.
But I would barely call it progression at this point.
Yeah.
I've stalled out.
We've put her on a bike a couple times.
I've sat on them, not moving.
No, you rode the scooter.
Okay, yeah, in the parking lot.
Yes, which was progress. But we've been talking about what bike she thinks she wants. That was part of the reason why we got the Scarabeo 150 at Vintage Days.
Partly because I was tired of walking around.
Well, sure.
I didn't want to ride the mini bike.
The scooter she had rode around the parking lot was my Royal Alloy GT 150, which is kind of exceptionally tall and exceptionally wide for a scooter in the 150 range.
Yeah,
kind of just scooters in general.
I'm about 5'5.5", and you're like 6 foot tall, and our body ratios are so different. I have short legs and you have long legs, so you're actually like realistically probably a whole foot taller than I am.
Yeah, well, when it comes to bike sizing. So the Scarabeo 150 was something, it has a more relief cut seat, so something she could get more comfortable on. But she has realized that the bike that is calling to her is probably a Honda Super Cub.
It's like the one bike scooter. It's barely a bike, barely a scooter. It's like a bike scooter that I haven't sat on. We've gone through almost all the scooters. We've gone through like every variable of Buddy. We've sat on a couple different Vespas.
Yep. Cleveland Moto was awesome. Let her sit on a whole bunch of stuff while we were up there. We've been to Capital City Scooters in Columbus. Shout out Caitlin at Capital City. We love her.
Shout out Phil.
And shout out Phil at Cleveland Moto. But she has sat on virtually every scooter option now. And we only went once. We actually made it to a dealership. They did not have a Super Cub. I know another day we went looking to try and find one somewhere, but I don't think we ended up going anywhere because no one seemed to have one.
No, they're not in stock anywhere. So if you know where we can like touch one.
Well, I think I did find one, but it's like 3 hours away. So,
I mean, not impossible, but definitely demotivating.
Yes.
So if someone has one, there is some on Facebook Marketplace we can go and look, but I hate to waste someone's time if I'm very
especially
sensitive
now
on
that you know the 2024 comes in that beautiful bluish gray and white color for you.
It's true. Although I don't know if that's a complete deal breaker. If I was going to save like $1,500, I
don't
might
think you're going to
suck
save
it up.
that. They're new and people love them.
I mean to buy a used one.
I know. I don't think you're going to save $1,500 buying a used one right now.
Good point. Then I'll probably buy a used one or a new one.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to me.
Yes. Happy birthday to you. So yeah, the next bit of news I wanted to address, Triumph they released a video, I think it was like a week ago. Coming up on September 5th, we'll see the bike in action for the first time. I am perplexed by their decision to enter into the dirt bike space. They seem to have all of the right pieces together, but for someone who the bulk of their brand is, it's not exactly like Harley, but it is in some ways, as far as like, it's all about the retro image. And now we're entering into modern dirt bikes. And I'm just confused.
That is it's like being steampunk Nike. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Now,
I'm looking for the picture.
Yeah. Well, they don't have a picture of the bike yet.
Oh.
We've seen the frame and we've seen the engine and we've seen Ricky Carmichael. If you're unfamiliar who Ricky Carmichael is, look him up. He is probably one of the single most, like, if you had to pick a person to be your spokesperson when you're launching a dirt bike / motocross bike, as a brand who has had no real footing in that space for a while, really since, I guess if you go back to the 60s, whenever motocross, to whatever, extent it was back then, was really just kind of scramblers / we were taking street bikes and making them off-road worthy.
So they don't even say they're specifically even releasing a consumer bike. They're just saying that they're going into the motocross championship or super motocross.
Yeah, well, they talk
kind of an odd dodge.
In the engine video, they discussed that they needed to make sure the engine had characteristics that was both good for racing and for customers who would buy the bike. So we will infer from their discussion that they care about the power characteristics of the engine being good for consumers, that they will sell these to consumers.
I wonder if it's going to be road ready.
Well, I think it's mainly a motocross bike. So it's not going to be much. It'll be less of a trail dirt bike and more of a, racing dirt bike. Yeah, I'm intrigued by their decision to enter this space. I guess it makes more sense than some companies getting into the electric space where they have no experience in the electric space.
I wonder if it'll be at all the motorcycle shows in January, February when we go.
Well,
if we go.
As long as they get it out, I'm sure it'll be everywhere.
We'll see.
Yeah. So September 5th. So by episode 3, I assume, maybe it'll be out by episode 3. Depends on how fast I want to record episode 3. We'll see.
It's true.
The next thing, for a few years now, have been at a distance Royal Enfield fan. You
had a moment where you were ready to rub your face on one, and then we just couldn't find it or something. There was something weird that happened.
No, I was going back and forth. When the Himalayan came out, I was intrigued. The downside is a 411. At that point, I had not expanded my stable into the attempting to start a motorcycle museum one day quantity of motorcycles. That happened
really fast, by the way. That was just we were on reserve, and then all of a sudden the gates fell, and we had 6 bikes.
Yes.
I'm still coming back from that whiplash.
Yeah. So the Himalayan came out. They came out with the 650 twins. I had massive lust for a Interceptor 650. Now just call it the INT 650 because I believe it was Honda. Someone currently has the trademark to Interceptor, and they didn't check that before they launched the bike. Whoops.
Womp womp.
Yeah. So the Himalayan intrigues me a lot.
Was it at the motorcycle show you saw?
It was. I sat on it. That was at the
it was at the IX Center when it was
at the IMS show at the IX Center.
Pre-COVID.
Yep. And Moto Zilly, who is out of Warren, Ohio, was there with Royal Enfield. And I sat on a Himalayan 411, and I really liked it. And I got real close to trading the Vulcan in on one.
That was your current Vulcan or the pre-Vulcan?
No, the current Vulcan. 2013 Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Custom for reference.
2013?
Yep.
Wow, that's so long ago.
No, I bought it in 2015. It was a dealer leftover.
Huh.
But anyways. So after the 650 twins dropped, there were not long after rumors of a 650 Himalayan, which, what isn't there to love with that idea? The downside of the 411 is, realistically in the US, certain highways, it's going to be struggling a little bit. It has highway power, but not a lot of reserve left. When we talk about adding a 650 engine to that platform, well, now it's just become a lot more interesting. And then we started hearing that they're not going to do a 650, they're going to do a 450. And it's not going to be air-cooled, it's going to be water-cooled. And essentially flipping the script of what everyone kind of wanted. So, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this one. They have leak pictures that have come out. It's supposed to be launching in India, I don't know, soonish.
So we don't even know when it would come to the States.
No, most of it. Okay. It's supposed to launch November 1st of this year.
In India.
In India. Home country for Royal Enfield. So they always launch bikes for their domestic market before export. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be awesome. It's going to check a lot of boxes for a lot of people. It is just not what I was hoping for.
You don't see a lot of Royal Enfields on the road, I don't feel like.
I'm starting to see more. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings, especially among dealers who were Royal Enfield kind of before the latest incarnation of them. I will say one of the biggest reasons that they intrigue me as a brand, for a company to decide to have a more, I don't know, active presence in the U.S. market, because they were working through an importer originally, and then I forget how many years ago they opened a North American headquarters, and they decided to put it in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah, I walked past it.
Down the street from Harley Davidson. So to come into the U.S. and basically kind of throw your gloves down and like, let's duel, and like move into Harley's home city, the city that Harley owns, kind of. I don't know. I feel like they get points for that to some extent.
Well, it's probably not, though. If that's considered like a motorcycle city, like, why would you not? I mean, at least considered it, but they didn't have a showroom open or anything. Like, I walked by it when we were in Milwaukee, and it was just like...
They did for a while. They've closed the kind of home headquarters store, but...
Just kind of a bummer. I mean, if you're going to say that you're there from a consumer standpoint, like, you're already going to have a motorcycle, like, segment of people already in the area. Why not take advantage of it and at least, represent?
Yeah. For sure. I agree. But yeah, so we'll see what comes of the Himalayan 450. This will be their first water-cooled power plant. I'm sure if it's, if these leaked pictures are what actually makes it to market, we'll see it in some other frame configuration.
Oh, they don't have an electric bike, do they?
No, they're committed to making one like everyone has to some extent, but they don't have one to market yet.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I hope they do more with the 650 twin platform. They had a concept bike that was somewhere around 1,000 cc V-twin 3 years ago, maybe. I don't know. Time is a giant blur since the pandemic.
Pre-COVID or post-COVID? That's all you need to tell people.
Yeah, I think it was...
Because pre-COVID was like 20 years ago.
Yeah. I think it was pre-COVID, but honestly, I don't know.
We blacked out there for a few years.
Yeah. So it'd be nice to see them bring some larger engine options to the U.S. market, especially because when they're doing air-cooled engines, the power outputs are not the same as modern water-cooled engines. It's not going to be. So excited, tentatively, wish it was air-cooled, wish it had a 650 twin in it, but we'll see what comes of the Himalayan.
It's good to have things coming out that are a little different from
sure.
everything else.
This is less different in some ways. It's kind of matching its competitors, but it's different for them.
And you have to remember that, like, if we're not their specific target market, we're kind of like an afterthought of, they're making that for a completely different culture, and then it's, let's send it to the States.
Yeah, that's valid. That's fair. But the next thing, not news related, I saw a video on
I'm a little concerned about the word lust in your notes.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be another fling here with you. And
yeah. So I don't know how much you were paying attention, but I was watching that video with Robot from Vespa Motorsport, Scooter West, going over the Vespa GTV 300.
I did not pay attention.
And I feel like I have a Vespa GT 300 sized hole in my garage. It is a beautiful bike.
I think you're going to need a second story to your garage. Maybe an elevator to like that loft area that's a little questionable up there.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I probably won't actually end up with one, at least not this year. But all I see is because it is not a normal headstock, and it appears, at least from what I watched, the handlebars are kind of standard handlebars. So I just see a Vespa 300 with knobbies and Renthal dirt bike bars on it.
Of course you do.
And like the ultimate modern off-road Vespa.
Okay, so I guess I have a would you rather now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We've got the Vespa 300 or the Royal Alloy that you saw that's also a 300.
Oh boy. Yeah, if I knew that I could do... If I figure out that I can change the handlebars out on that GTV 300, the Vespa, I think I'd pick the Vespa. Outside of that, I love the way the Royal Alloys look. And in some ways, I wish that I would have known definitively when they were bringing the 300 to the U.S. market. I probably would have waited. I love my 150. I wish it was about 5 miles an hour faster.
Yeah. So would you trade that up, or would you, got to catch them all?
Would I trade the GT 150?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still holding out hope that Genuine at some point wants to sponsor me/us because we included it in our wedding. But
I don't think they ever responded to that post.
No, I don't think they did either.
I don't know where that we're very close to sponsorship if we can't even get them to like double tap.
Engage. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day the GT 150 will be replaced by the 300 Royal Alloy. I think the one in the US they're calling the GP 300. But the Vespa GTV 300 is a beautiful looking bike. They're making it in this like matte tan with orange accents. It's just cool.
Would you get another matte bike? I thought you were kind of...
I really don't want another matte bike. After the Vulcan...
Now explain why, just in case someone out there is like, out of the like 3 people listening, that someone's considering getting...
There's nothing inherently wrong with it. The benefit of matte paint...
It's beautiful.
...is you don't have to wax it. The downside is you can't wax it. Like, outside of specific matte paint coatings, you have to be careful not to make it gloss. Like, anything you do... If it has anything abrasive in it, we'll make it glossier. If it has, wax or like standard synthetic polymers that make paint shiny, it will hide. The matte paint is literally matte because of imperfections in the top coat. Like,
you had to buy a special cleaner and everything for this, didn't you? You have like a whole separate...
I have matte cleaner, but it's basically just soapy water. There's plenty of times that I'm like, I wish I could just wax it to keep the dust down, collect less bugs. Like, compared to my other bikes, I feel like I have more upkeep on the Vulcan because I'm worried about because the paint...
And it's white, which doesn't help.
Which doesn't help. But the imperfections in the matte top coat that allows it to look matte, if you looked at a cross section, it has like all these kind of valleys almost. That's what diffuses the light and makes it look not shiny. That also is a bunch of pores essentially for dirt to get in.
Oof.
So it's kind of easy or easier to stain matte paint compared to gloss.
Makes sense.
If the paint gets a scratch, I can't just take a polisher to it. Like, I can't take my buffer and polish off a
sponge paint it.
Yeah, I can't just, take cutting compound and cut a micron of paint off. Like, at that point, I'd have one glossy spot where I hit it with a buffer and the rest of the bike would be matte. So yeah, that is the one downside. I wish they were offering a non-matte option. They're supposed to be bringing a second color option to the US this year, and it's going to be a matte black. But the tan and orange accents I like better in the GTV 300.
Tan would probably do better with dirt than white or black would, because you either have dark dirt or, I guess not really salt, but light dust that you're constantly going to fight against.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I built this out the way it is in my head with the knobby tires and dirt bike bars and like did an off-road Vespa, I think brown's the way to go. But we'll see.
Glossy if possible, because if you're doing something off-road, she going to be filthy.
Yes.
So whatever's easiest to clean.
Yes. Ideally gloss, but they're not offering a gloss option right now. So it is what it is.
It's a sign. Maybe you just need to wait.
Yeah. Me. Yes, maybe I'll wait. I'll probably wait anyways. So, on to the whole Noco Moto versus Electrek.
So you're going to need to like kind of give a big picture view here, because I have not listened to the podcast, and I probably won't be the only one. So you're going to kind of want to give a recap.
Yep. So,
I'm glad you guys are on the same page, though. Those aren't guys I'd want to fight.
Pete and Swiggy.
Yeah. Although I might be able to run faster.
Yeah, no, they're a good time. You might be able to outrun that gyro. He's got an awesome canopy gyro that he was doing pizza deliveries with at Mid-Ohio. So his issue that he brought up, so Electrek, Electrek, like Electrek, they cover electric vehicles.
All of them.
Yeah.
So it's like a blog or something.
Yeah. Yep. So blog, the vast majority of what they cover, because there's more of it essentially, is electric automobiles or electric cars, trucks, whatever we want to call it. They also cover e-bikes and they cover electric motorcycles.
It's a lot of coverage.
Yes. So you would assume that there's a lot of riders. And there are several riders, except for their motorcycle coverage. I have yet to find an article on their site, just like Pete observed, that is a motorcycle article that is not written by Micah Toll.
So just one of them have their motorcycle license, apparently.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess, maybe, whatever. But the issue he brings up, it kind of all stems from an article that Micah wrote titled "Renting a Gas-Powered Motorbike in Spain Reminded Me Why I Went Electric."
Gas-powered. So we're talking gasoline.
Yeah, so he and I don't know, his wife, him and his wife went to Menorca, island off of Spain, and they rented a Honda Vision 110. Now, the Honda Vision 110 is not a model available in the US. The easiest way to understand what this bike looks like is look up a Piaggio Liberty and imagine it was a Honda.
Weird.
Because that's kind of what it is. It is that.
Oh, it's a scooter.
Yep, it's a scooter. Okay. So put in place everything you know of scooters and specifically Honda scooters. Okay. I think most of us would agree.
Small, cute, quiet.
Quiet, highly efficient, virtually indestructible.
I guess super fast is subjective. Some of them probably are.
They are typically exceptionally powerful for their displacement, or they are efficient at making power at their displacements.
It's got pretty small wheels.
Well, no.
They're thin. I guess
they're
small
thin,
is
but
not necessarily
they're large
correct.
diameter. Like I said, it's kind of like a Piaggio Liberty big wheel-ish scooter, big wheel meaning not 12s. But he then goes on to basically throw this Vision 110 under the bus, complaining about the noise. I don't know how. There were plenty of times.
Maybe it had an exhaust leak.
I mean, maybe. Maybe it just had no exhaust on it, but in the pictures, there's an exhaust on it. He then complained about the idea that he was just worried it was going to break down all the time. For example...
He rented that, right?
Yes, he rented
Maybe it was a jank rental. Maybe he just had a bad...
If you look at these pictures, you would not think that. This is a very
trying
good
to give him the
looking,
benefit of the doubt here.
yeah,
Trying to
it looks
defend
like
him.
a well-maintained bike, and it's a Honda. Hondas have a maintenance schedule. They assume you're going to ignore all of it, and their vehicle is still going to run.
It's true. I did that with my car.
Yes, that is why you still have love for Hondas, because of your Civic.
There's a Honda-sized hole in my heart.
There is.
Honda Super Cub.
Yep. So he said, quote, "A fouled spark plug, dirty oil, worn piston rings. The list of unseen potential problems lurking underneath me stacked up in the back of my mind." I don't know.
Sounds like a bad rental. Like if,
but he didn't have any of these problems.
he's just like,
he's saying that these are all potential problems that would make this thing stop running.
You would need to lecture him about his negativity he's putting in the universe.
Sure. But when was the last time a non-modified Honda 4-stroke had a fouled spark plug?
I hope you don't expect me to answer that.
No,
Okay.
no, but like the answer is probably not often. It probably had, I don't know, some obscene amount of miles on it before it had any spark issue, but it was likely not plug fouling, unless it somehow had just such an issue that it was just dumping raw fuel into it to run rich enough to carbon foul the spark plug. Not likely. Yes, the oil in it was probably dirty.
But who would check that on a rental though? Like,
well, I mean, they're going to, but these are non-issues essentially is what I'm saying.
So he just wanted something negative to say.
Yeah, other than when you put the oil in your bike, its job is to basically suspend contaminants, right? So they aren't in places they shouldn't be to some extent. That's why we have detergents in the oil to help clean the inside of the engine. So yeah, the oil is going to be dirty. It's not going to make it quit running.
So did he have any actual problems with it, or did he just complain about what could have happened?
Yeah, he just complained about what could have happened.
What a buzzkill.
Yeah. And the last one, worn piston rings, again, so many miles. And this does not appear to be a beat up rental. So Pete's issues were kind of him complaining about the sound, him complaining about the reliability of it, and him complaining about the fuel mileage. And him claiming to have range anxiety. It's a gas-powered scooter.
Put more gas in it.
It's rated at 110 miles per gallon.
Woof.
Yeah. The island...
So how many gallons does it hold?
Being a scooter, probably like a little over a gallon, but that's still 100 miles.
Yeah.
Go back to last week's episode and listen to the ranges, the city ranges for all those $20,000 electric motorcycles that he's voting for.
Yeah, it was like, what, 75 to 110? Or no, was it 130?
They may have gotten, 140 to 190, but those are $20,000 electric motorcycles, and that's their city range. Most of them had all of them had under 100 miles highway at 70 miles an hour. Now, this bike's not doing 70 miles an hour. It's a 110. It's probably doing 45.
Well, if you're on a small island, too, you're probably just like beach cruising. You're not on highway or anything.
It's a small island.
Oh, yeah.
What range anxiety is like? Where are you going to have range anxiety? I haven't looked this up.
Stations on the island.
Yeah, unless there's absolutely no gas stations on the island. And back to, it's a rental. You can call the rental company and go, hey, this thing quit. And they're going to go, did you put gas in it?
You're like, I'm a tourist.
Yeah. So I don't know. He's just, it's interesting because he wrote this article to try and beat up on what is probably one of the most refined internal combustion engine products in the market currently.
Did he have like a
small
favorite
displacement Honda?
Did you like flip through his blog and see if there's something he favored? Is he like sponsored or something? And like his goal is to just like...
Well, he has a history of covering a lot of vaporware, essentially, bikes that never came to fruition. But the one thing that I found interesting was after listening to Pete's episode, I was like, I want to look into this. So I tried to find this article. And immediately after he wrote this anti-Honda gas scooter article, he wrote 3 articles about the bike we talked about on the last episode.
The Livewire?
The Livewire Del Mar. And he claimed to have bought one, essentially.
So he's like a Harley fanboy, maybe?
Well, I don't think he's a Harley fanboy. He's just an Electrek fanboy. But one of Pete's arguments, which I would agree with after reading through this, is he's not really a motorcyclist.
He's a bicyclist.
If you go to his bio on Electrek, all of his currently owned vehicles are e-bikes.
Oh, that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I mean, that's completely different riding experience.
Yes.
Plus, he's used to having pedals as backup. Maybe that was his
Yeah,
problem.
his range anxiety is he can't pedal the bike.
Oh.
Right?
I mean, you probably could ride, because you said the island was what, like 110 miles circumference?
No,
130?
MotoGP said, I think the entire coastline of this island was like 135 miles.
So, I mean,
that was
technically,
not independently verified by me, but I can't imagine it's much more than that.
You could probably ride a moped on that, I mean, in a couple hours. If you're going 20 miles an hour, I guess that's like a day trip. So it's kind of funny that it's like, well, technically, I guess maybe he just would have been more comfortable on a bike. Maybe they're just desperate for content. Maybe like,
well, I think
y'all
they
are just
to
giving
some
him,
extent.
you just doubled his viewers by you and him both looking at that.
Well, and that's something, that was something Pete addressed. He was kind of worried. He didn't want to draw any more attention to this outlet because as far as electric motorcycles, their journalistic practices are not real great as far as covering products that are going to actually exist. They give coverage to a lot of products that will never see the light of day, or at least haven't yet, and it's been a long time. And then
kind of tricky from a content perspective. That means it dies pretty quickly. Like you've got like, a hype article, and then you never have anything to follow up on. Yeah. I mean, it's cool that someone can get like that insight to things that haven't launched yet, but like it seemed, I mean, that's like kind of strike while the iron's hot. You've got maybe a bunch of clicks for a hot second, but once it doesn't come about, it's gone.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm intrigued the more I look into this, some of the articles he's written.
So in order to not bring more attention to this guy's outlet, we're highlighting his outlet.
I understand that. That's part of the issue is you don't want to give him necessarily more readers, but you also want to help people be skeptical of information on the internet, as we all should be. Because
I should be skeptical about really everything.
Well, because as you know, everything you read on the internet is true.
Well, I thought that until a few years ago.
Yeah.
Crushed me. I still believe everything people say. Why would someone lie to me?
Yeah. But I'm trying to find the article. Of course, I don't have it pulled up now. He wrote an article, one of the 3 in a row he wrote about the Del Mar. And essentially, he wrote it and mentioned, I'd like to find the actual quote, that this was a bike he had bought. And then backtracked and said he made a reservation because that's all anyone can do. No one can buy a Del Mar right now. It's just launching.
I want to
when he wrote the article
on this guy's like personal Instagram and stuff and see if I don't know. Like I guess I always want to know why.
Yeah, I found it. It is titled. This was written back in June, so this was before we saw any of these bikes starting to slowly reach reviewers. It was Harley's next Livewire electric motorcycle is coming this summer. Here's why I bought one.
He bought one.
But he didn't yet. He made a reservation. And then he talks about...
he's writing for the algorithm.
Sure. He talks about that the price is right-ish, and he's worked hard enough to save up $15,000 for a motorcycle. Kudos on him. Money is a thing, unfortunately.
Well, you don't know he's not financing it. He says he's got it, but...
Well, sure. But to say that you've already made this purchase on a bike that hasn't seen consumer hands, he had ridden a prototype. It feels, I don't know, weird to me for someone to write an article from a journalistic perspective saying, this thing's so awesome, I've bought one. Well, and not actually have it in his hands.
Maybe he was just going to change the date on the article after he got it. He was like preemptively writing it. See, now he's like manifesting positivity and like maybe he's taking the other perspective now.
Sure, maybe.
Maybe he's just a bad journalist. Maybe we just need to leave him alone.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming his bike coverage is fine. It's just that maybe he shouldn't be the only person covering electric motorcycles for Electrek, which is one of the larger electric vehicle outlets.
Maybe you need to go show him up. Maybe we should have like a duel between you two. I
don't really have any desire for that. I don't have any electric motorcycles. I don't have experience with them, but I do have experience with gas motorcycles, and I know that a 110 Honda scooter is not loud, unreliable, or any of the things he claimed. In fact, in that article, was discussing how once it came off idle, the sound like quickly increased and they couldn't talk over it, I think he said. And I'm just like, you've made comments when we've been on the scooter versus like the Vulcan. The Vulcan doesn't have a super quiet exhaust on it.
Yeah.
Like we could talk at like 60 miles an hour other than the wind noise.
Yeah, and my voice does not carry.
No.
It doesn't carry in the house, let alone on a motorcycle going the opposite direction. I don't know. I think I will say, though, that there's value to the perspective of the person who has no electric experience, because most people don't. Like, if you were to go and review a bike, I think that first impression could be really valuable. Yeah.
This was the quote. I had forgotten just how quiet electric motorcycles are until I fired up that little Honda. He said, suffice it to say that a 110cc engine is on the smaller end of the spectrum, and yet here my wife and I are having to raise our voices to talk over that small idling engine.
You just have it out for this guy.
Well, no, but like, how many of my bikes do we have to talk over? Or any of them the scooters?
I mean, the scooters are all fine. That Harley's a little questionable.
This is a scooter that he's saying he's having to raise his voice to talk over. I could go start both scooters in the garage, and you could be standing next to them and not know they were running for it, not the fact that the light's on, and maybe you feel a vibration if you're standing close enough to it.
I know this guy has you really wound up. You're like...
I was pretty hot whenever I was listening.
I keep trying to veer you away from it, and you keep just going back. You're just digging a hole.
I find it interesting. I hope their coverage gets better. And I hope people are not taking these just blatantly false anti-internal combustion stances. And I'm not like here to say I hate electric vehicles or anything. I'm intrigued by them. I have been for a long time.
I think anything new has an element of like scary to an extent until you build that trust.
Yeah. He said, my main issue here is him just saying things that are flat out false.
Which seems to be pretty common in like the vehicular area in general, isn't there?
People making false statements.
Yeah.
It's not a good place to make it.
Well, no,
They're
but
you watch available.
Some mechanic too that does car stuff that is always calling out other mechanics.
Well, he's calling out one specific mechanic. You're referring to, I believe his channel now is on YouTube, Dirty Garage Guy. It used to be The Workshop. Matt over there has it out for Del Boy's Garage, and that is quite funny to watch.
And he gets a lot of views, like the original guy, the wrong guy. Would you say Doughboys?
Del Boy.
Del Boy, yeah. Like the computer Dell.
No, Delboy. Del Boy's Garage. And the videos calling him out are by Dirty Garage Guy, which used to be called The Workshop, which is Matt.
But Del Boy, you said, has a decent amount of views too. Yeah.
Just because you're popular doesn't mean you're not putting out bad information. That's fair. But in the automotive / motorcycle space, there are a lot of intelligent people, and most of these things have one right way to do something. There may be plenty of ways that stuff will kind of work, but it's either right or it's not, for the most part. There's exceptions to every rule. But for him to make statements, again, about a Honda scooter of all things, one of the most, if you go anywhere in the world, you will find small displacement Hondas. The majority of Southeast Asia operates on small displacement Hondas. Do not make statements about one of the most widely owned and sold bikes on the planet that are not true. That's all I'm saying.
You're going to write him an email. Send him a postcard. That would really throw him off. You're like, excuse me, sir, I saw your blog.
Yeah. Well, to leave that in the past.
Oh, thank goodness.
The thing I've been kind of focusing on over the past couple weeks, we went to Fuel Cleveland, which is held at Hale Farm.
Which was the week after Vintage Days. What was that, July?
Yeah, end of July.
That's a wild month for us.
Yep, it is. And tons of awesome bikes there, but the one that kind of made me go down this thought path was there was a mini bike there, like think old school single speed, vintage mini bike.
Was that the Doodlebug?
Yeah, it was called something like that. It was intriguing. It had
it was cute.
Old production kickstart conversion. So where the pull starter would be, there was a kickstart lever. I'd love to find one. I looked them up. They're kind of expensive. But I had that rattling around the back of my head. We had gotten back from Vintage Days. We realized we probably should put a bigger engine in the mini bike if we're going to keep the mini bike for show purposes. The 80 it came with was struggling at points with Missy on it.
We did try to sell it.
We did try to sell it.
The last day, and the only offer we got was for tattoos.
Yeah, so I'm trying to barter tattoo work.
Sweet soul, but
yes,
I didn't want her quality of tattoos on my body.
I didn't think her tattoos were bad.
I did.
I just
not the content, just the quality of them. I was like, oh, honey.
But anyway, so I'm looking at engine options to put into this. The obvious choice, the most popular option is a Predator 212 from Harbor Freight, or an actual Honda engine in, that 160, 190, maybe low 200 cc displacement range. But also over the past year, my daily driver has changed to a diesel, and I started looking to see if there were diesel options to build into this small bike.
Now, this has been your first diesel vehicle, right?
Yes, I've never owned a diesel vehicle before.
So you've been through a handful of cars and trucks and everything.
Yeah,
so.
My dad has been in the trucking industry in some capacity as long as I can remember. Was a mechanic and a owner-operator for a while, safety and maintenance director, back into the mechanic side of stuff. So I've been around diesel engines a bit, but I've never owned one. And they intrigued me before owning one, and now having one, I find them just wildly interesting because I guess just because it's different.
Well, you
I like
remember,
odd stuff.
Like my brother's, he got like a Jetta or something that's diesel? Yeah, so weird.
Yeah. But I found there are manufacturers in China building essentially what are Honda GX engine clones like the Predator is, but they're diesel instead of gas powered.
Are they going to fit? Is anything's going to fit in that little tiny bike?
Yeah, it's the exact same size as a 212, and people have put 212s into that monster moto frame.
You've been talking about upgrading that engine for years, since it barely goes.
I got to a point that I bought the adapter plate one time, I think, and then just didn't get anywhere on it. And then I was going to put a torque converter on it and keep the 80, and then realized I was going to have to cut the frame.
So if anyone has a big mini bike that they want to downsize, we'll swap you. No,
what we're going to do is I want to get one of these diesels. So most of them are around 196 cc displacement. Just mechanical injection. Pull start. 22-to-1 compression. So it has a compression release so you don't break your shoulder trying to pull start this thing.
That's good.
And see how well it does. It's only rated at like 3 or 4 horsepower, but because it's diesel, no one's got the torque numbers published, but significantly higher. So it should be plenty enough to trot around these shows.
Now, I want you to put into perspective real quick. So you're willing to just try it out with the new engine on the mini bike, but if I was to change the kind of chocolate chip I was to put in your cookie, it would just leave you unwell.
Well, but I know that if I don't like the engine, I'm going to put another engine in it. If you've made all of the cookies different, all of the cookies are different. We can't undo them. Right?
Panic ensues.
Yes. So if it goes well, which I think it will, what my plan is, maybe not for fuel this coming year, hopefully, if everything moves fast enough, I want to find an old, maybe Sears Roebuck mini bike frame. I had one in the past. An older vintage mini bike frame. Do one of these diesel engines and then theme the whole thing either Peterbilt or Freightliner, do the full length chrome fenders, do a mud flap, the chrome mud flap grill on it. And then it's going to have mini exhaust stacks that are chrome on the back.
Functional?
Because it's mechanical injection diesel, if you just crank it wide open, it's just going to smoke like a truck.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's going to be great, especially mid-Ohio if this works.
Well,
ripping down the main street with a small cloud of black smoke behind the bike.
Just smoke everyone out.
Well, it's a really tiny engine, so it's not like it's going to roll coal and be crazy, but
you need a roll coal shirt to wear when you ride it.
Oh, 100%.
I'll make
it's going to be like a big old
that could be my
Cummins
contribution.
decal shirt or something on it.
Now, I mean, I don't know what we'd be able to find, but in the next week or two, there is the Lorain County Engine Club. We'll have to go scouting and see
At
what
the
kind
engine
of
show.
Yeah. See, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like a flea market situation, so it's kind of hit or miss. But if the weather's nice, we should go out there and kind of see.
We should. I've seen vintage mini bikes.
Oh, you can take the bike out there and ride them around too.
Yeah, we could. But I've seen vintage mini bike frames there before and vintage mini bikes. So
that'd be a great place to get something cheap. You got to go out in the middle of nowhere, and these people just like barn bikes and, you know.
By middle of nowhere, she means where she grew up.
That's true.
It's not that far from here. But anyways, I think that's a great idea. We should go and look. And then that'll motivate me to actually buy one of these diesels and see.
Yeah.
It's an intriguing idea to me. And if we want to talk about being like eco-friendly, I bet you I can get it to run on biodiesel. Or even better.
So what, you smell like French fries when you're done?
Well, I was going to say, or fryer grease. That would be funny.
That would make everyone hungry all the time. That would be cruel to drive that around. Not only that, but you'd come in here and like we'd have to go out for French fries every time you came home.
Yeah, if we do that, we may have to reconfigure the bike to not be styled after an older classic semi to maybe just
have to be like a Sheets truck.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go, Sheets truck. Something food themed. But I don't know. Intriguing that they're doing these air-cooled diesels. We'll see if it works the way I think it's going to work.
I hope for your sake it does.
I hope for my sake it does too.
Because I feel like this is one of those like weird bucket list things that you've been like talking about for a long time. And
what, just putting a bigger engine in it?
The diesel aspect, your current
I wouldn't say
infatuation
long
with.
time I've been talking about it. But
no, you have been talking about upgrading it though. So it's kind of been like this project, you know, like, oh, if we could have sold it, we would have. It's not like a huge thing, but it's fun to have like at least if you're going to go into projects, I prefer you to do them on the smaller, less expensive scale.
Yes, that is the one benefit of doing a small mini bike as a custom show bike because everything's smaller and cheaper. Like the engine's like $200 and some. If I wanted to do a custom Harley build of some sort, like if you guys haven't seen, one of the bikes that was at Fuel was, I think his Instagram handle was Action Jackson. He was one of the, was it Builtwell People's Champ? I think that's what, it was either that or Born Free. I think it was Builtwell People's Champ though. He did an inertia start Harley. If you haven't seen it, it's wild.
Does that mean you have to like roll it down a hill to get it to go?
No, he's got I think it's like an old air raid siren or something that like the inertia of the flywheel of this siren, like he's got a handle that he cranks it up and then he has a custom, built by him or cut, by someone with a CNC sprockets to do a chain drive to the primary. So they spin up this, like I said, I think it's an old air raid.
Is it like a Model T?
Similar in the sense
I have no
like
idea what you're talking about.
You have a crank lever like that, right?
Okay.
But instead of it being a vertical movement, it's a horizontal movement. It like swings over the seat because the mechanism's mounted kind of near the seat. And then he hits a switch and it takes all the spinning momentum from the air raid siren and starts the engine with it. That was also a cool bike that was at Fuel. But I guarantee the build cost on that will probably be, 60, maybe 150 times higher than this mini bike build.
Woof.
So, because if I can get a vintage frame for this bike, I don't know, hopefully under $700, a couple $100 in an engine, some chrome bits, should be under $1,000. So we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Fingers crossed we don't have to sell a bike to build a bike.
Yes, we will likely end up enlisting your painting skills if we do get to the point that
that's about all I can offer.
Custom bike. Yeah.
Photography, painting.
Spray paint and me do not get along. I don't know why.
I love spray paint.
I know. I wish spray paint agreed with me. I've never, I guess I just don't get it. I've used it.
I could also polish my like welding skills. It's been like a solid 10 years since I did that. Yeah, but that'd be cool though, right?
Sure. We'd have to get an oxyacetylene tank set up.
I can learn MIG or whatever you have out there.
Yeah, we could do flux core or stick or MIG or TIG, but none of those processes you've done. But
I can learn.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
I can figure it out as long as it's safe.
That can be another winter project. Yeah, it's always safe. You just weld over top of, flammable stuff, right?
Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, I think, do you have any new merch? I know you've been designing merch for the Motohop store.
So we have a bundle of things already listed on our Motohop store, which all of our stickers are on Etsy, and then we've got shirts that ship separately.
You can get to that Etsy, though, through our website, motohop.co.
.co.
Yep, .co.
Or you can just find Motohop on Instagram. It's all linked in our bios.
Yep.
But
we'll throw it in the show notes, too.
Yeah, I think we got, like 4 stickers up there now. And then if you buy one, honestly, we've got like ones we made for Vintage Days that we throw in free. So you're never going to get just the one sticker you order.
Well, and if you were at Vintage Days, we haven't taken them down yet. There are still, you can order the I Survived Vintage Days shirt. We did have 5 sticker designs until we got a cease and desist.
That was cool. It's always fun to have your first legal altercation.
Yeah.
Keep you on your seat. But those were a benefit to everyone else who orders something. We'll just be giving those away randomly. So it's a really cool design. Honestly, it's great.
I thought it was a cool idea.
It was. It is cool.
Yeah. If you are anywhere where they salt the roads, like we are in Northeast Ohio, you see rusty vehicles everywhere because road salt. But we also have this weird thing where a lot of people around here in Northeast Ohio all vacation at East Coast beaches, and they all end up putting these weird Salt Life stickers on their car.
They're like drippy. They're like weird.
Well, because it's like beach Salt Life. But the funny part is like we're a different Salt Life in Northeast Ohio. We're the road Salt Life.
So we thought we were being funny, and we put Salt Life on a rusted out van. I don't know what kind of van that is.
It was an Econoline.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then apparently there's some sort of
trademark.
Turns
out their trademark is just the word salt next to the word life on anything that's a decal.
And by the company that's Salt Life LLC.
Yes.
I guess we should have seen that coming, but that's all right. Like I said,
in hindsight,
everyone gets free stickers now. We either give them out when we see people, or if those ones will be giving.
They've been destroyed.
Oh, you're right. They're gone.
They are gone.
They've evaporated.
Yes.
They've rusted away.
Yeah, they have rusted away. Yep.
They're not being distributed at all.
No.
Okay,
but
so we do have others.
We may redo it with the word salty on it.
Yeah, salty is where I'm leaning because that's how I feel. But we've got a couple other ones, all of which, most of them I think are fueled by Matthew. And it was one that just, I like catchy little sayings. So there's helmet hair, don't care. Mm-hmm. And there's a few other that we have on there. Our vintage shirts. Our Vintage Day shirts are actually a really nice material. I do not like thick cotton scratchy shirts. So anything that we release.
I do.
Yes. So anything we release though is going to be like really nice quality. But I don't know if we really have one we want to feature, but everyone can just go through and check them out. They'll ship pretty quick. We've got everything here.
Yeah, we got a couple other ideas on the pipeline.
Yeah, I've got a handful of ones ready to order. I just need to pull the trigger, but it's kind of like, be cool if we sold a couple before I went and bought another batch. But at some point, we'll probably end up doing some sort of show or something. Fuel would probably be the one I would lean towards the most because I like the idea of a one-day show.
It's 2.
Oh, well, 2 is still like better than 4.
Sure. The benefit if we do a booth at Vintage Days is you can just be there or not.
That's true. Maybe we'll set up like
it's Vintage Days.
A scooter vending situation. We'll come up with something cool.
We really do need to do that sticker vending machine.
Yeah, a sticker vending machine would be ideal because that would just be less manpower. I just don't think, like, I'm in marketing, reading the vibes of the different types of people that attend. Most people aren't going to Vintage Days to buy merch. It seems like those sales are really low. Everyone's just going to scavenge a sale.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I'm saying
you're inferring that because there's only like 1 or 2 shirt vendors.
Yeah.
I mean, all in all, it is a vintage motorcycle swap meet. But if you have something cheap and someone's walking around with a bunch of money they haven't spent because everything's overpriced because of COVID.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll buy a $5
That's
sticker
true,
or $4 sticker.
Coffee and motorcycles, they have a bunch of stickers and stuff, and they seem to do all right.
Yeah.
They're one of the few vendors I think that does really well with their merch there. There really just isn't a ton otherwise. And placement, I think, is key as well, too. People get in a certain mindset depending on where they are. And I don't want to barter. Take it or leave it.
Yes. Yep.
So, yeah, there's my merch rant.
Yep. Well, anything else we want to cover?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, I think we're going to call that episode 2. catch you guys in the next one.
Bye.